Hi there folks, thanks for joining Gaming Nights on a board game How to Play. Today we're going to be showing you the rules for Scrooge the Boardgame. It's designed by Jason and Simon Gehring and their father Peter. And what we're going to be doing is playing as lovable characters from the Dickinson novels, from Oliver Twist and Scrooge. And we're going to be bustling through the centre of London trying to show Scrooge the error of his ways. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how the setup works and how to play the basic mechanics. And just keep in mind, this is obviously prototype components and some of the rules might be subject to change during the Kickstarter. Alright, let's get to the table and have a look. So, Scrooge is a board game for 2 to 6 players. Runtime is about 15 to 90 minutes and recommended ages is 8 and over. So, to begin with, each player will get to choose a character card, and there are 6 available. So you've got Belle, Oliver Twist, Artful Dodger, Fagin, Mr. Pickwick, and Mr. Micawber. And this is Scrooge for the person who's playing here. Everyone, you can choose who you want to be. So let's say, for example, I'll be Oliver Twist. You then get a representative pawn, which will start in the start place. Each player will also get 1,000 gold to begin with, and you can separate them into denominations of 250 gold, 4 100 gold notes, 5 50 gold notes, and 4 25 gold notes. That makes up 1,000 gold, which you then put into your tableau area, and everyone will start with that. And that is what each character will have. For setup for the rest of the game, you'll notice there's spaces on the board for some decks of cards. First thing we're going to do is separate the Nightmare deck into 2 types. You got the Turning Point Nightmare cards, which have the turning point written in red over there. These will get shuffled up, and each player will be given 1 randomly. They all do different things. So I've got 1 there. And then the rest gets shuffled back into the main Nightmare deck. So I'm just going to put that at the bottom for now. And then this gets shuffled and added to the Nightmare section. And then you get another deck of cards, which is called the Scrooge's Bag of Tricks. They get shuffled and get added to the space where it says Scrooge's Bag of Tricks, right there. And then the third deck of cards, which will go here, Scrooge's Money Box. They look like this. They get shuffled. Ooh. And added to there. And then one more deck of cards, which is the Ghost cards, like this. They get shuffled and added to the space. You take 500 gold. And you add that to Scrooge's counting house right here. And then, finally, you have the Heroes and Villains deck. Now, there's 12 heroes and villains, and they all do different things. You've got multiple copies of Scrooge that have different denominations on them. And then you have some of the other heroes, like Bob Cratchit, etc., etc. Tiny Tim. These get shuffled. And then you draw 5 randomly from this pile. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The rest go back in the box. And these could be put anywhere on the side of the board. I like to put it just down at the bottom here. And then there are 2 dice in the game. You have 1 standard D6. And then you have the Marley dice, which has a couple of negative modifiers on. So you've got a -1, a -2, a 0, and then a 1 and a 2. You'll have that as well to play with. So that's the setup of the game. When we're all ready to go, randomly choose a first player to go, and then on your turn you have a few things you need to do. Well, the first thing you need to do is it won't happen on the first round of the game, but as the game progresses, whoever's in the lead, and if anyone lands on one of these spaces, the streets, you get one of these Scrooge's Bag of Trick cards. This will always go to the player in first position. So if you are in first position, then you immediately reveal it and do what it says on the card. They are generally quite bad for the person in first place. If you're not in first place, you then hand this to the player who's first. When it becomes their turn, They will resolve those cards first before doing anything else. Then it's your turn to take your action. There's basically, you're trying to move through the streets of London all the way around to get to space 56, where you'll have Scrooge's moment of truth. This is where you battle Scrooge and to show him the error of his ways. And I'll get back to that in a second. I just want to go through movement first. On your turn, you can choose. The most standard way of moving is to roll the dice. So you can roll both, so both the d6 and the Marley dice, or you could just roll the d6, or you can just roll the Marley dice. You roll them and then move that amount of spaces. So in that case, I would move 4 spaces forward. The other way you can move is you can spend 500 gold, not from the counting house like I just took, from your own supply, and you can move 1 space for each 500 gold you spend. You can do that up to 6 times. So you can spend, if you have quite a lot of money, you can spend, say, 2,000 gold and move 2 spaces forward. The other way you can move, this comes up a lot less than the first 2 options, is if you have one of these ghost cards and they give you another option of moving. For example, like this one, it says you can play at any time and you can move to one of the nightmare spaces. So over there. There's another option in moving. Everything I've just said now is in the point of moving forward, but you can actually move backwards as well. And the reason why you do that is on your turn, you determine how you're going to move and which direction you're going to move. So if you want to move backwards and you just want to roll the d6, you roll it and you move that many spaces back. You can do this up to a maximum of 6, and for every space you move backwards, you gain 50 gold. This is a way of generating income, because when you reach the moment of truth space, there's a couple of things you need to have. First of all, you need 500 gold. Again, not from the counting house, from your own stash. You need 500 gold, and when any nightmare cards in your hand, if you have a turning point card, you're good. But if you have any of the others, you can't show Scrooge Scrooge in his moment of truth. You need to get rid of them, and by doing that is you land on the sell spaces, and you can sell them for money, or if someone steals them off you, or if some other cards tell you to discard them, that's ways of getting rid of them. So when you reach the moment of truth spot, you reveal your nightmare cards to everyone. You pay your 500 gold to the bank, to Scrooge's bank, and then you do the moment of truth. The moment of truth is a little bit more tricky. You take the person who's designated to play Scrooge for the turn, or if someone's been eliminated, they can play Scrooge. You get 3 of these Scrooge's money box cards each, and Scrooge will obviously get his own. And you then have a look through the heroes and villains deck. So in the beginning we randomly put out 5. The heroes, so for example here, Mr. Fezziwig, he will give Scrooge minus 25 gold. But the other 4 that we've randomly determined has Scrooge on them, and he will give them positives. So naturally I'm going to go for that one and add it to Scrooge's lineup. Then we reveal them one at a time. So in this case, I've got a lose 100, and he has a win 50. So he's up by 150 at the moment. I've got another lose 100, and he's got a lose 50. And then I've got a win 25. So I'm on negative 175 at the moment. That's not a good score. And he's got a lose 25, lose 50, and so he's on a negative 25. So at the moment he's beating me by 150 points. But don't forget, I added the hero, which is another minus 25. So he's on 125 now. So at this point I'm losing. So this is where we can go around the table, starting with the player to my left, and they can play any ghost cards or any nightmare cards that might affect this moment of truth. And once everyone's passed, the moment of truth will end. If I've defeated Scrooge, I've won the game. If I've lost, then the hero is discarded back to the box. These cards are all discarded to the bottom of the Scrooge's money box deck, and I go back to the space where I came from, and we go again. But now you might have noticed that one hero is no longer returned to the deck, so it's harder and harder for the next person to go. If there are no cards there, then it becomes a little easier because then it's just straight money box battle. And that is pretty much the basics of the game. The streets have all different spaces where you can land on. They generally allow you, so for example, these Scrooge's money box cards will allow you to draw from there. The ghost cards will allow you to draw from here. These blue ones allow you to draw from the Scrooge's money bag of tricks. And then there's a couple of others, like for example the prison. If you land on the prison, you have to roll a 6 at the beginning of your turn. You declare you're going to roll. So if you want to roll it, you have to roll a 6 to get out, or you can pay 250 gold. The buy nightmare cards, it'll say either buy 1 or buy 2. You have to buy the cards from there. To buy them, you literally just flip them over and pay the price at the bottom there. If you land on a sell space, which is there, you can then sell nightmare cards. If you sell 1 nightmare card, you literally roll the dice, and that's you. For every nightmare card you sell 50 times 1. So this would be worth 50 gold. But if I was selling 2, then that would be, well, it would be 50 gold as well. If I rolled a 1, in that case it would have been 250 gold. And you get a bonus as well. If you sell 3, you can double the dice roll. If you sell 5, you can triple the dice roll. So sometimes it pays to save them up and then pay them all in one go. But obviously, at any point you run out of money. So if you land on a buy 2 space and you can't afford the nightmare cards because they range from different prices, 100 gold, 200 gold, 150 gold, etc. If you can't afford them and you run out of money, you are eliminated from the game. If you land on a space where you need to pay money for various reasons, either the money box cards or the bag of trick cards, and you haven't got any money, you are eliminated from the game. So I hope that makes sense. If you want to see how the game plays itself, you can check out our Kickstarter preview video where my family and I we're going to play through. We'll give you the basics of the rules again and then play through a couple of turns so you can see the game flow and how it goes. And if it's something you like, go check it out on Kickstarter. Thanks for watching.